So when talking about the best sets to buy in the current market, we've been talking about the same sets over and over again, right? 151, Paldean Fates, Prismatic, Destined Rivals, and some older Sword and Shield sets. However, I think there are some underrated buys in the market that are really being overlooked. The first set I want to talk about is Astral Radiance. Now this might be the most slept on set and underappreciated set in all of Sword and Shield. It is a trainer gallery set, right? So it has the extra trainer gallery that a lot of the early Sword and Shield sets don't have. And if you take a look at the cards, right, I think some of these chase cards are very undervalued. Currently, this Machamp is still only at $140. It really hasn't made any major price movements in the time that cards from Brilliant Stars, cards from Silver Tempest, from Lost Origin, all of these other cards have made massive moves to the upside. This Machamp V has more or less stayed in this 120 to 140 range for the entirety of the last couple of months. I think this artwork is really good. It's one of the best artwork, alternate art cards that we've seen in Sword and Shield. And I just think this card at $140 is very cheap for a top chase card. And not only do we have this Machamp, but Astral Radiance also has the Starmie V and the Garchomp V from the trainer gallery. Now these I think are very underrated as well. I think these cards will eventually carry Astral Radiance, and I can definitely see this being number 1 and number 2 in terms of the top 2 chase cards for Astral. This is essentially like having a mini Destined Rivals within Astral Radiance. You have the Misty, right, and you have the Cynthia's Garchomp. These are both top cards in Destined Rivals, also featured in Astral Radiance. Currently, the booster box is around $400, maybe $410 to $420, but I've seen this for as low as $380 on some websites, so you can definitely still find this for under $400 right now, making it the cheapest trainer gallery Sword and Shield set. Right now, Silver Tempest is already over $450, so Astral Radiance is $50 cheaper than Silver Tempest, but I would argue it has much more depth, much more variety of chase cards. Of course, Silver Tempest has the top chase card in the Lugia, but I think Astral Radiance is not too far behind. The second set I want to talk about is going to be Paradox Rift. Now this set, currently the booster box is sitting at about $260, but I've seen it selling for anywhere from $230 to $240, right? You can still find deals on Paradox Rift. This was one of the most underappreciated and least wanted sets in all of Scarlet and Violet, right? This set will be sitting on shelves for months on end, right? These booster boxes, I remember, were selling for $80 and people couldn't even get rid of them. But now, of course, people are seeing the potential of Paradox Rift and they're seeing just how good this set is, right? Let's take a look at the cards of Paradox Rift. You have the Groudon. This, of course, is one of the most expensive illustration rares in all of Scarlet and Violet, and I think is actually still undervalued, right? Only at $78, and you have something like the Magikarp. Of course, it's Shinji Kanda, right? Very popular artwork, but that's sitting at over $200. The Groudon, I think, should be minimum a $100 illustration rare. Now you have the Roaring Moon. This, of course, is a newer Pokemon, and it's, not the most popular right now, but I think in the future it will become very popular. You have Altaria, right? Always a pretty popular Pokemon, and Garchomp, a very popular Pokemon. Then you have Goldango, which is very popular as well. Then you have some amazing illustration rares. What really makes Paradox Rift stand out amongst the rest of all of the Scarlet and Violet sets is the depth of the cards that it has, right? Especially in the illustration rare slot. You have the Steelix, right? The Minun, the Plusle, the Morpeko. Then you keep going. You have the Manakite, you have the Yveltal, you have the Magby, you have the Gimmighoul. It keeps on going. Paradox Rift is just such a deep set, so many cards over that $10 threshold, and this set is going out of rotation, out of print sometime in the next 6 months. It goes out of print the same time that 151, Paldean Fates, Paldea Evolved, all of those other sets go out of print, and it's going to be in April of 2026 when Paradox Rift is no longer on shelves. Booster boxes, right? Do we think they're going to get another reprint? Pretty low possibility. It already got a reprint a couple of months ago, and I just think that Paradox Rift right now sitting at under $260, right? You can find it for under $240, $230. I think it's an absolute steal. This is a set that kind of reminds me of something like Primal Clash, right? It has the Groudon, it has some really awesome dragon Pokemon and ancient Pokemon as well. I just think this set has a lot of variety. It has something for everyone, and at $260 is an absolute steal right now. The last 2 underrated sets I want to talk about is going to be Black Bolt and White Flare. I think that both of these sets are completely being overlooked. Both of these sets feature Pokemon from the Black and White era, right, the Unova region. Some people don't like the Unova region, and that's kind of where this whole narrative that, oh, Black Bolt and White Flare are terrible sets, or, you know, lackluster sets, that's where that whole narrative comes, right? Some people just don't like the region as a whole, but come on, you can't tell me that you don't like Zekrom and Reshiram, right? Sets like Celebrations have proved that these two cards are very popular, that these two Pokemon are very popular. Then you have the Hydreigon, right? You have the Victini, you have the Keldeo, you have the Zoroark, right? These are all popular Pokemon that even though they came out in the Unova generation, these are still Pokemon that people resonate with, even if you didn't grow up playing the Black and White games. You have, of course, the Kyurem, you have the Genesect, you have the Shinji Kanda Seismitoad, which, of course, is a very controversial card, but it is still a very expensive card at the end of the day. You have the Monochrome cards, which, based on what they're doing with the Mega Evolution set and also Phantasmal Flames, it seems like these aren't really coming back, right? These are unique gimmicks that will most likely stay with Black Bolt White Flare and never come back. I think these are some of the most unique cards that we've ever gotten, right? Having the Monochrome Reshiram and the Monochrome Zekrom and the Monochrome Victini just really makes Black Bolt White Flare stand out amongst all of the other sets in Scarlet and Violet. And that's what people are going to want to see in the future, right? They're going to want to see a set that is unique, that is memorable, that has memorable qualities to it. And Black Bolt White Flare, having these monochrome rares, having a bunch of SIRs, as well as an IR for every single Pokemon, I just think that really makes both of these sets stand out amongst all of the SV sets. The total set value for both of these sets is also very, very high, right? Black Bolt sitting at 2,600 and White Flare also sitting at around 2,600 as well. So as you guys know, total set value is one of the largest and most accurate predictors of how well a set is going to do in the future. Think of sets like Team Up, right? That has the highest total set value in all of Sun and Moon, and Evolving Skies has the highest set value in all of Sword and Shield. And I think both of these sets are extremely undervalued right now. Just taking a look at the booster bundles, right? They're sitting at about $48, $49 for each set. And that is a really cheap price. This is probably one of the cheapest booster bundles you can buy right now, right? I think even something like Shrouded Fable has a higher booster bundle price than Black Bolt and White Flare right now, which is pretty crazy. Locally, you can probably find both of these for around that $40 range, and for $40, right, I would absolutely be buying these. Now, some people might argue, right, these will continue to be printed for the foreseeable future. Well, we don't know that. We don't have confirmation of that in any way, shape, or form, right? They could keep printing this, or they could focus on things like Prismatic, or they could focus more on the sets in the Mega Block, right? There's not a guaranteed reprint for any set other than, I would say, Prismatic and Destiny Rivals to some extent. So Black Bolt, White Flare, Paradox Rift, and Astral Radiance, I think these are the most undervalued sets and products that we currently have on the market. Now, does that mean that you should be buying these heavily? No, I don't think you should be allocating your entire portfolio, spending every single dime you have on those sets. I think you should mainly still be buying things like 151, Paldean Fates, Prismatic, and Destiny Rivals, sets that you know 100% will be popular in the future. There's no speculation, right? There's no kind of guessing game. You know that these are going to be the winners of Scarlet and Violet. But I'm just telling you guys that these sets, Black Bolt, White Flare, Paradox Rift, Astral, are still very undervalued. If you find good deals on them, it is definitely worth a pickup. Let me know, guys, what you think in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.